Have you ever felt like the harder you push, the further your dreams seem to slip away? In today's fast-paced, hustle-driven world, we've all been sold the myth that relentless chasing is the only path to success. But what if I told you there's a more powerful, more fulfilling way to unlock your goals? In this captivating journey, we'll reveal the extraordinary power of Stoic wisdom combined with the art of effortless attraction, a life-changing secret practiced by history's greatest minds. By the end of this video, you'll discover the hidden magic behind why releasing your grip actually draws success, happiness, and abundance right to your doorstep. If you're ready to transform your struggles into effortless victories, make sure to watch until the very end. You won't want to miss the final insight that ties everything together. And remember, hit that subscribe button now so you won't miss any future videos packed with powerful life strategies. Welcome, dear reader, to an expanded journey through the realms of Stoicism manifestation and the practice of turning away from the hustle of desperate chasing. In our modern world, we often equate success and happiness with relentless striving. Constantly chasing a dream, sometimes even a moving target, can leave us feeling exhausted, burned out, and surprisingly unfulfilled. Yet the ancient Stoics, along with various modern thinkers who study the law of attraction and related concepts, propose a seemingly paradoxical viewpoint. Sometimes the more we chase something, the more it evades our grasp. This phenomenon is frequently likened to the charming metaphor of a child chasing a butterfly in a meadow. Each frantic step forward seems to drive the butterfly further away. But the moment the child relaxes and becomes present to the moment, that colorful butterfly can alight gently on their shoulder. This idea, boiled down to the phrase, "don't chase, attract," forms the foundation of this entire conversation. It's an attitude shift from stressful pursuit to a more serene, trust-based approach. Rather than trying to force outcomes by sheer willpower, or controlling every detail of a situation, we cultivate a mindset and environment that beckons these outcomes to us. This is hardly about laziness or passivity. Indeed, the Stoics emphasize disciplined effort, moral virtue, and pragmatic action. Where they differ from the typical hustle culture mindset is in their exhortation to let go of the results. In other words, do your best, work diligently, but relinquish the destructive habit of gripping too tightly to any single outcome. In these pages, you will discover a series of lessons that weave together classical Stoic wisdom and certain insights reminiscent of the modern law of attraction. You'll see how alignment with nature or the universe, or what some call the divine, forms a potent basis for creating a life of purpose, calm, and genuine abundance. You will also encounter discussions of quantum physics, positive psychology, and other scientific frameworks that in their own way point towards similar truths. We will explore how your inner world, your beliefs, emotions, and states of mind can dramatically shape your external reality. Stoicism teaches us that external circumstances are not fully in our control, but our internal responses always are. Combined with ideas around visualization, vibrational alignment, and faith in the flow of life, we uncover the paradoxical, effortless manifestation that can happen once we stop suffocating our dreams with impatience and worry. As you journey through these expanded lessons, keep in mind that the heart of this philosophy is balance. We are not advocating stepping back into complacency, nor are we suggesting you abandon your goals. Rather, we invite you to step into purposeful engagement and unwavering trust. The child who rests in the meadow open-hearted is not giving up on the butterfly. They have merely chosen not to scare it away with frantic motion. By the time we reach the final sections of this work, you may well see how releasing the need to chase frees you to receive far more than your old anxious ways would ever allow. To begin, let us delve into what Stoicism actually is, because this ancient Greek and Roman school of thought provides the backbone for much of our exploration. Founded roughly in the early 3rd century, BCE Stoicism was championed by philosophers like Zeno of Citium Seneca, Epictetus, and later Marcus Aurelius. Far from preaching emotionless detachment or an austere, joyless existence as the stereotypical portrayal might suggest, Stoicism emphasizes living in accordance with nature's rational order. What does that look like in practical terms? A Stoic tries to discern what is under their direct control, their thoughts, judgments, and actions, and what is not, everything else from public opinion and weather patterns to the final outcomes of big projects. Rather than passively submitting to fate, the Stoic invests considerable effort in honing inner virtues, wisdom, courage, self-control, and justice. By focusing on that internal domain, a Stoic finds a measure of freedom in virtually all circumstances, whether that is the adversity of Epictetus's life in slavery or the formidable burden of Marcus Aurelius ruling as a Roman emperor. When we speak of not chasing but attracting, we resonate strongly with a central Stoic concept. We neither attach ourselves too rigidly to external pursuits, nor do we bend to every fleeting desire that arises within us. Stoicism recognizes that suffering often emerges when we cling passionately to things that are inherently beyond our ability to govern. By letting go of the craving for total control, we paradoxically become better navigators of life. Our emotional equilibrium improves, and, ironically, what we genuinely want has more space to manifest. This is precisely why Stoicism offers a strong foundation for any conversation around attracting rather than chasing. Modern takes on manifestation often reference the law of attraction, the idea that like attracts like, and that our mental and emotional states shape the circumstances that enter our lives. While the Stoics would not have used this exact terminology, their teachings indeed point to the importance of mindset. They encourage a clarity of thought, calm acceptance of what is, and a commitment to what can be changed ourselves. If we consider that what we focus on tends to expand in our lives, it becomes vital to focus on what is constructive, virtuous, and aligned with reason and higher purpose. Self-mastery and choice become the engines of attraction, setting us on a path where external blessings become more abundant, not because we forced them, but because we cleared away the mental static that hindered them. Thinkers like Seneca noted that true wealth does not come from acquiring more, but from desiring less. This perspective actually fosters both gratitude and an attitude of receiving, because you're no longer desperate to fill internal voids with external symbols. When you're no longer feverishly chasing something to fill a sense of lack, you create a mental and spiritual environment where abundance can naturally flow in. Thus, the Stoic sees nature, be it called the cosmos, the universe, or the divine, as a rational, orderly structure that we can cooperate with. The more we align our actions, intentions, and mindsets with this structure, the more we seem to harmonize with beneficial outcomes. And so, the bridging of Stoic philosophies with modern frameworks of manifestation emerges a synergy that states, do your best within your sphere of control, and let the rest be guided by universal order. In the lessons ahead, you'll notice repeated references to letting go of the outcome as a key to effortless manifestation. This phrase might sound contradictory. After all, in a culture that applauds working around the clock, checking off ever-expanding to-do lists, and micromanaging every corner of life, the suggestion to ease up feels alien. However, consider how often forcing it actually backfires. As soon as we start to obsess over precisely how and when something should happen, particularly if it involves circumstances outside our immediate control, we cultivate mental tension. This tension can transform into anxiety, stress, or even despair if things do not materialize according to our rigid schedule. The Stoics would caution us against such an approach as it invests emotional energy in the outcome rather than the process. By contrast, the alternative approach, detachment, liberates our energy to focus on what we can do here and now. When we zoom out, we see that this concept of detachment has echoes in many wisdom traditions. Buddhism, for instance, speaks of non-attachment to desires as a pathway to reduce suffering. Certain strands of Christianity advocate surrendering to divine will. Modern motivational speakers may call it trusting the process or letting go and letting God. Regardless of terminology, the underlying principle is that clinging too tightly to a specific outcome can ironically undermine your own success. The child chasing the butterfly so desperately that it flutters away is a poignant and memorable illustration of this universal lesson. Once the child stops thrashing around the butterfly, is more inclined to settle. Attraction in that sense becomes less about passivity and more about removing obstacles, chief among them being our own tension and unrealistic demands on how reality should conform to our timelines. Nevertheless, it's crucial to stress that this form of detachment does not counsel laziness or apathy. Stoics consistently highlight the importance of taking action. The difference is that one acts from a place of calm determination and trust instead of fear-driven desperation. If you're applying for a dream job, for instance, you still update your resume polish, your interview skills, and show up as the best version of yourself. But once those steps are done, you release your need to agonize over whether you'll receive an offer. You open yourself to other potential opportunities. This mental shift can also help you perform better in your interview since your confidence no longer hinges on that single outcome. You become a calmer, more grounded candidate, likely more appealing to potential employers. In a paradoxical twist, letting go might be just the thing that secures the outcome you originally wanted. And if it doesn't, your mindset remains resilient to rejection, because you trust a better match is out there. In that sense, doing your best and detaching not only fosters mental peace, but also contributes to real-world success. With your sense of self no longer on the line, you can approach goals and relationships from a place of genuine empowerment. That empowerment grows as you see that the greatest force you can wield, your inner state, is indeed fully within your jurisdiction. Moving to a more concrete dimension, consider the Stoic practice of envisioning or imagining our desired realities. While certain critics might call it daydreaming, this practice goes beyond mere fantasy. It involves tapping into the creative potential of the mind to shape possibilities in the external world. Modern advocates of the law of attraction frequently speak about visualization, affirmations, and living as if you already have what you want. These are mental exercises aimed at adjusting your internal vibration, what you project in your thoughts and emotions, so that you are more apt to notice and seize relevant opportunities in daily life. Interestingly, Stoicism intersects with these approaches because Stoics too placed emphasis on the power of mental rehearsal. Epictetus observed that events themselves are neither good nor bad. It is our interpretation or opinion that gives them power. If you carry a vision of yourself as competent, strong, and aligned with your goals, you likely act from that place of inner assurance. Opportunities that resonate with that vision start to stand out more clearly. what is more Stoic exercises, such as premeditatio malorum, the practice of mentally preparing for challenges, suggest that visualization can help you remain composed under future adversity, thereby ensuring you respond effectively rather than in panic. Though premeditatio malorum is often about worst-case scenarios, the underlying principle is that your mind can shape how you meet the events life brings your way. By extension, the same mind can shape how you open to possibility and abundance. When we integrate such Stoic practices with more contemporary ideas of manifestation, we find a robust system for personal transformation. Instead of just hoping for luck, you are mindfully conditioning your habits and beliefs to match your aspirations. Seneca famously said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Visualization is a form of mental preparation. If your vision of success includes financial abundance, you imagine yourself being financially literate, disciplined, and creative, noticing ways to expand your income. This mental framework can help you see real-world opportunities that align with your newfound perspective, be it a side business or a helpful mentor. Likewise, if your desire is to find a loving partner, you first embody the qualities of love, kindness, and self-respect that you hope to receive from another. Practically speaking, that might mean you treat yourself kindly, develop your interests, and show up to social interactions with a genuine warmth that draws people in. The alignment of your actions with your imagined reality becomes a powerful attractor. Yet we must underscore that the Stoics would caution you not to become enslaved by these desires. Visualization should never morph into a rigid script that you try to impose on reality. Rather, it is about focusing your mind in a constructive, life-affirming way, while still bowing to the reality that the future is uncertain. That humility ensures you adapt if life's flow diverts you onto a different path. Perhaps you end up discovering an entirely different job or calling that your original vision never accounted for. The Stoic who has practiced adaptability will respond with curiosity, maintaining an upbeat sense of wonder. Maybe this is actually a better path for me. Visualization and mental rehearsal thus function as empowering tools, not unyielding demands on the universe. From here, let us pivot to the notion of amor fati, one of the most famed Stoic slogans meaning love of fate. This phrase, sometimes attributed to Nietzsche's later interpretation, captures the essence of embracing whatever life brings. For the Stoics, resisting reality was the surest road to misery. Instead of wishing events were different, they advised working with what happens and extracting meaning or growth from it. The latter is a critical attitude shift. If something painful or seemingly unfortunate occurs, the Stoic sees it as a chance to refine themselves, learn a lesson, or display virtue. It does not mean you become a doormat for suffering. Rather, you keep your composure, remain solution-oriented, and harness adversity for self-improvement. Why is this relevant to the subject of not chasing but attracting? Because loving your fate and trusting a broader plan are intimately tied to letting go of the chase. When you no longer see obstacles as catastrophic, you realize that unplanned detours can lead to beautiful discoveries. You release the internal friction that arises from resisting the present moment. This is the same friction that, when left unchecked, generates panic and desperation. "I must have this" now becomes less of a refrain when you recognize that either you will receive what you desire or you will learn from not receiving it, and both outcomes can ultimately serve your growth. That is precisely the perspective that invites more of life's bounty your way. You remain open, flexible, and curious rather than rigid and despairing when things don't go according to plan. Consider a practical scenario. You have your heart set on landing a particular contract or a certain creative project. You pour your passion and skill into it, but it doesn't come through. Initially, you feel disappointed. The Stoic practice of amor fati encourages you to pivot that energy. Okay, what can I learn from this failure? Where is my next best move? You might see that the failure was the impetus to improve your skill set, reevaluate the client market, or find a better project that suits your style. By adopting this perspective consistently, you reduce your emotional volatility. Paradoxically, your sense of self-confidence increases too, because you are grounded in the realization that your worth does not hinge on one single external success. That sturdy confidence in turn makes you far more likely to attract future collaborations. People sense genuine calm and self-assurance. It's magnetizing. If your interactions are no longer saturated with anxiety or desperation, your aura shifts into one of poise and possibility. In modern terms, you're raising your vibration, a concept occasionally linked to quantum physics, which suggests that everything at a fundamental level is energy. While Stoicism doesn't speak explicitly of energetic vibrations, it does speak volumes about how our inner dispositions shape our experiences. When Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action can advance action, he was describing this curious inversion. An obstacle can become a catalyst if perceived properly. When you love your fate, you do not let a door closing define you. You stand ready for the door that may be opening elsewhere. That readiness is at the heart of attracting rather than chasing. Turning now to the law of attraction side of the conversation, we delve deeper into the idea that thoughts and emotions act like magnets. Quantum physics remains a complex and often misquoted field, but some of its implications can serve as compelling metaphors or potentially actual mechanisms for understanding our relationship to reality. It suggests that our observation and intention might influence phenomena at the subatomic level. This perspective is often simplified into the statement that everything is energy, and that like vibrations tend to resonate, forming or attracting similar patterns. While the extent of this effect in everyday life is still a subject of scientific and philosophical debate, it offers a coherent framework for why cultivating certain attitudes like gratitude, trust, and love might correlate with a life experience that reflects those same qualities. From a psychological standpoint, there is research underscoring how our beliefs shape our perceptions. If you believe in scarcity consciously or unconsciously, you're more likely to notice reasons to confirm that scarcity. This is an example of confirmation bias. On the flip side, if you believe in abundance, you will likely spot possibilities for growth that you might otherwise miss. Beliefs about your capacity to succeed can become self-fulfilling prophecies. The intersection of Stoicism and these contemporary ideas is the notion that focusing on virtue alignment and inner serenity can place you in an optimal mental and emotional state to recognize and harness life's beneficial currents. Stoicism provides the moral compass. While you are busy aligning your mindset and actions, you remain honorable, fair, and clear-headed. This ensures that your attraction does not degrade into manipulative or unethical tactics. Seneca and Epictetus both warn of the dangers inherent in misguided desires which can drive a person to wrongdoing. By contrast, the law of attraction underscores that when you abide in a genuinely positive state, the external universe appears to mirror that energy. Whether viewed through a spiritual or psychological lens, the synergy is clear. Cultivate mental and emotional well-being and watch it shape your reality. In practice, This could look like combining Stoic journaling with regular visualization sessions. During your journaling, you note any negative thought patterns and reframe them in light of Stoic wisdom, reminding yourself of what's truly within your control, reaffirming your commitment to moral values, and acknowledging where acceptance is the wiser path than resistance. Then in your visualization sessions, you hold an image of the life you're crafting, meaningful relationships, purposeful work, and a sense of internal peace. You might also integrate affirmations, positive first-person present tense statements like, I am confident, or I trust in the flow of life, or I am open to unlimited abundance. Each of these steps subtly adjusts your internal climate. You're effectively pruning negative beliefs and feeding expansive ones. None of this is to deny external hardships or the reality that tragic events happen beyond our personal control. The Stoic stands firmly in acceptance of life's unpredictabilities, but adopting a constructive mental framework means you do not compound external challenges with self-defeating inner narratives. When hardships do arise, you can respond more resiliently, thus maintaining momentum toward the life you envision. This resilience in turn is often perceived by others as confidence and competence, further reinforcing the cycle of attraction. Before closing out part 1 of this extended reflection, let's explore the interplay between happiness and manifestation. One of the final lessons in the original script stated, "Be happy, your wish is on its way." While this might seem like a hollow platitude at first glance, there is deeper logic behind it. Positive psychology researchers like Shauna Shore have put forth evidence for the happiness advantage, suggesting that happiness is not merely a byproduct of success. It often precedes success. When you are in a positive mood, your brain is more receptive. You are more creative, and you handle stress better. From a Stoic perspective, this actually makes sense. If external achievements were the only path to happiness, then you would be doomed to an endless chase, always needing the next thing to finally feel good. Instead, if you learn to generate happiness or contentment internally, even while working toward big goals, you bring a poised, resilient presence to all your endeavors. Additionally, by adopting happiness as a choice, admittedly a challenging practice in a world replete with troubles, you loosen the tension and fear that often block progress. Imagine you're constantly worried that if you don't land a particular deal or meet a specific deadline, your happiness will be postponed indefinitely. This burden can become so heavy that it affects your performance and also dampens your creativity. The moment you reclaim your ability to be happy in the present, finding gratitude in small joys, focusing on internal virtues, maintaining perspective, you lift a great weight from your mind. You become more agile, more curious, and ironically more likely to succeed in your pursuits. That is the essence of how happiness can function like a catalyst in manifestation. This viewpoint also aligns with the Stoic notion that virtue is its own reward. If you find your contentment in living well and acting nobly, external events lose some of their capacity to shake your equilibrium. Think of it this way. If your emotional state does not swing wildly on every up or down in your external fortunes, you maintain a calm center of gravity which fosters wise decisions, healthy relationships, and an authentic sense of purpose. That in turn can attract opportunities and people who resonate with your stability and positivity. Nobody wants to partner with someone constantly on the brink of an emotional breakdown unless they are enabling or controlling in some fashion. People gravitate toward those who exude a steady confidence, a confidence that says, "I'm okay no matter what happens, and I'll put my best foot forward." In effect, learning to be happy now, to love the process, and to trust that your wish is on the way can serve as a powerful mind hack. It neither denies reality nor fosters passivity. It simply acknowledges that you do not need a guaranteed outcome to give yourself permission to be content. The universe, or the natural order in Stoic terms, is more apt to smile upon you when you meet it with a spirit of joy, curiosity, and acceptance. With that note, we wrap up Part 1, having established the philosophical underpinnings, Stoic and otherwise, for the notion that detachment, trust, and inner alignment create an environment conducive to receiving life's gifts without frantic chasing. Having laid the groundwork of Stoic concepts, paradoxical attraction, and the interplay with modern ideas of manifestation, we now refine our exploration. Let us revisit the structure of the lessons outlined in the original script, but do so in a way that deepens our understanding. Lesson 1. Do your best and detach. Lesson 2. Attract what you want. Lesson 3. You will be uplifted at every turn. Lesson 4. Where do your desires come from? Lesson 5. Live within your imagination. Lesson 6. Finding peace by letting go. Lesson 7. Be happy. Your wish is on its way. We touched on many of these principles in Part 1, but now we systematically piece them together, analyzing practical approaches and the underlying rationale. Do your best and detach might sound simple, yet it's one of the hardest behaviors to master in daily life. From a purely conventional standpoint, detachment can feel counterintuitive. We are told that if we truly want something like a career milestone, a personal goal, or a fulfilling relationship, we should throw ourselves at it entirely. Hard work is indeed praiseworthy, and there is no shortage of motivational slogans telling us to hustle until we drop. However, if that hustle is driven by fear, anxiety, or a sense of lack, we risk sabotaging ourselves. Stoic wisdom merges with modern cognitive and behavioral research to suggest that while intense focus can yield short-term results, it often comes at the cost of well-being, leading to burnout, or a blinkered perspective that might cause us to miss alternative paths. Detachment enters the picture as a crucial step to maintain mental health and to actually optimize performance. When you do your best, truly applying yourself with diligence and skill, and then detach from the result, you enter a freer psychological space. You've handled your area of control, your preparation, your effort, your virtue. What remains is to trust that the outcome will either align with your hopes or present a new learning opportunity. In either case, your internal equilibrium remains intact. This approach also resonates with the often cited principle that tension and worry can stifle creativity. Remaining detached does not mean you no longer care. It simply means you allow space for spontaneity and unforeseen serendipities. The Stoic stands ready to adapt, shaping themselves to circumstances without losing their sense of integrity. In applying this principle to your life, remember that doing your best includes healthy pacing. Overexertion undermines your ability to perform well in the long run. Stoics advocated moderation, what modern psychologists might call emotional regulation. It entails working intelligently rather than blindly overworking. Once you've given a project or pursuit your honest, sustainable efforts shift into a posture of acceptance. I have done what is mine to do, you might affirm. Now let the rest take shape. This is precisely how individuals sometimes achieve effortless success, a phenomenon where good fortune seems to arise naturally, not because they were lazy, but because they combined intelligent action with an openness to possibility. Moving on to Lesson 2. Attract what you want. We dive deeper into the mechanics of alignment. Here we find a more explicit intersection with the law of attraction philosophy. Yet the Stoic spin ensures we remain grounded. The Stoic who aims to attract what they desire begins by clarifying the desire itself. Is this aligned with virtue? Does it serve the common good or at least not harm others? Does it reflect my authentic values? If the desire holds up under these questions, the Stoic merges it with the concept of living in accordance with nature. In more contemporary terms, this might be likened to energetic or vibrational alignment. You cultivate the emotional state that matches the desired outcome. Excitement, gratitude, love, or confidence, long before it shows up in your external reality. Our emotions often serve as internal beacons, guiding the shape our thoughts and actions take. If you want to attract prosperity, for example, you might begin by feeling abundant in small ways, noticing and appreciating the resources you already have, the talents you currently possess, and the opportunities in your immediate surroundings. A purely negative or cynical approach focusing on what you lack tends to reinforce a sense of scarcity, which ironically becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Adopting a Stoic perspective, you recognize that your attitude is one of the few things fully under your control, and you intentionally choose a perspective of trust and optimism. You may not control the economy or job market, but you can control the way you direct your mind-spot possibilities and prepare to seize them. Importantly, this approach is not magical thinking in the delusional sense. You don't just sit on the couch and hope checks appear in your mailbox. Rather, you use your chosen internal state to fuel targeted action. For instance, if you feel genuinely grateful for your current job, even if it is not perfect, you project a calm composure that can make networking and exploring new positions more productive. When meeting potential employers or clients, you radiate competence and self-assuredness. This is how the Stoic principle of emotional regulation dovetails with the law of attraction's emphasis on embodying the energy of your desired outcome. Additionally, by training yourself to see each moment as an opportunity, you become more attuned to synchronistic events. Call it the reticular activating system in the brain or a universal intelligence, whatever your preference. The fact is that once your mind is oriented to the idea of prosperity and possibility, you're more likely to identify leads you might have otherwise ignored. The success stories often told in manifestation circles nearly always include an instance of coincidence or luck that the person was prepared to capitalize on because they were in a receptive mindset. Thus, attract what you want becomes a blend of Stoic clarity, knowing what's in your sphere of control, and a more modern spiritual or psychological approach, which acknowledges that your inner state profoundly shapes your external experiences. Lesson 3. You will be uplifted at every turn underscores a concept that might initially sound like naive optimism. The universe or divine flow or cosmic order is on your side. Yet from a Stoic viewpoint, nature is rational and aims toward harmony. Marcus Aurelius frequently highlighted how we are all part of an interconnected whole. Resisting that whole is what yields suffering. Aligning with it fosters peace and progress. While Stoicism does recognize that tragedy, pain, and injustice exist in the world, it also suggests that there can be meaningful growth in the face of adversity. Life's obstacles can serve as stepping stones when interpreted through a lens of learning rather than victimhood. This sense of upliftment is not an invitation to dismiss or downplay hardships. Rather, it is a reframing device. When confronted with a personal setback, say the loss of a job or the end of a relationship, the Stoic approach is to see it as a pivot point. You ask, what can I learn here? Where is my next place to flourish? That question directs your attention to constructive possibilities. This mental shift can create real benefits. For instance, losing a job might open space for you to refine skills or explore a different career path, one that ultimately feels more authentic. Or a broken relationship might lead you to develop stronger emotional intelligence and self-awareness, attracting a healthier partnership in the future. On a more metaphysical level, if you lean toward a spiritual interpretation, you might believe that life's events are orchestrated or guided by a higher intelligence. In practical terms, this viewpoint can help you maintain composure during turbulent times. Instead of descending into cynicism, you hold firm to the conviction that eventually you will emerge stronger or discover an unexpected silver lining. That conviction fosters resilience, a priceless attribute that helps you move forward. And once again, resilience has the added effect of drawing supportive circumstances and people your way. We generally admire, respect, and want to assist those who show courage and composure in adversity. Thus, in a subtle sense, the belief that you will be uplifted at every turn often becomes self-fulfilling. Critically, the Stoics never meant this to be a call for passivity. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This statement echoes the theme of upliftment by highlighting how every roadblock can become part of your personal progress. Imagine facing a new challenge at work that feels daunting. If you treat it as a chance to expand your capabilities, you reframe the stress into a growth opportunity. The same principle holds in personal relationships. Conflicts can become catalysts for deeper understanding if you remain open to transformation. In the context of attracting rather than chasing, this lesson suggests that once you adopt a confident, expectant posture, believing life does in some mysterious but real sense want your growth, your perspective shifts, your mood lifts, and your actions become more purposeful. As a result, resources and solutions that uplift you are more readily seen, recognized, and utilized. Turning our attention to Lesson 4. Where do your desires come from? We enter a more introspective phase of this exploration. The original transcript questioned the origins of our wants, distinguishing between fleeting, superficial desires and deeper, perhaps soul-level yearnings. Stoicism, in particular, invites us to examine whether our desires are virtue-driven or vanity-driven. Are we chasing wealth because we truly value the freedom and philanthropic possibilities it can afford, or are we merely seeking social validation? Are we yearning for a relationship that fosters mutual growth and kindness, or do we simply fear loneliness? Discerning the roots of our desires helps ensure that what we attract or choose to pursue is genuinely nourishing for us and others. From a psychological perspective, early childhood experiences, cultural messaging, and peer influence all shape what we think we want. If our environment repeatedly promotes material success as the pinnacle of achievement, we might uncritically internalize that pursuit. Stoicism calls us to question these assumptions. Epictetus taught that external possessions and status are not inherently good or bad. Their significance lies in how we relate to them. If chasing status leads to envy, anxiety, or moral compromise, it becomes a source of suffering. If, however, wealth or social standing is used for virtuous ends, charitable endeavors, personal development, or community improvement, it might align with a Stoic notion of ethical living. In a more spiritual or metaphysical sense, some suggest that our deepest desires come from a universal source. God, nature, the collective unconscious that nudges us toward fulfilling roles or missions in the broader tapestry of existence. When a desire feels expansive, altruistic, or growth-oriented, that might be a clue it is aligned with our higher calling. Alternatively, If it feels burdensome, guilt-ridden, or primarily ego-driven, it might merit re-examination. The point here is not to eradicate all personal longings. The Stoics never said that wanting things is immoral, but to sift through them carefully, keeping only those that truly resonate with wisdom and authenticity. Understanding the origin of desire also aids in the manifestation process. If you're trying to attract something that is incongruent with your deepest values, you may end up in conflict with yourself. That internal conflict can act as a sabotaging force. For example, if you claim you want a high-level leadership role but secretly fear responsibility or resent authority, you send contradictory signals to your subconscious. Stoicism helps you probe these contradictions. Do you really want the leadership position, or do you just think you should want it? Sorting through these layers fosters coherence between your stated goals and your genuine inclinations. Once your internal world is coherent, the external world tends to follow suit more fluidly because you are no longer battling yourself on a subconscious level. Indeed, the process is reminiscent of building a sturdy foundation before constructing a house. The foundation is your sense of self, your priorities, your moral code, and your sense of purpose. If that is shaky, anything you attempt to build on top, wealth, career, relationships, can become unstable. Conversely, a well-considered foundation can support significant life achievements without collapsing under pressure. In this sense, analyzing the roots of your desires is not just an abstract philosophical exercise. It is a practical strategy for success, happiness, and ethical living. Proceeding to Lesson 5. Live within your imagination. We come to a principle that might raise eyebrows among those who pride themselves on being strictly rational or realistic. However, the phrase does not urge you to ignore reality. Instead, it encourages harnessing your imagination as a creative force that can shape your perspective and, by extension, your experiences. We already touched on visualization, but here we delve into the importance of consistently stepping into the emotional and mental space of what you wish to create. When you live within your imagination, you practice embodying the emotions, mindset, and behaviors you anticipate experiencing once your goal is accomplished. If you aim to publish a novel, for instance, you imagine the sense of triumph and satisfaction you will feel holding the printed book in your hands, or reading positive feedback from readers who connected with your story. This sense of imaginative immersion can motivate you to stick to your writing schedule, refine your craft, and seek out professional opportunities in the publishing world. A Stoic might add the caveat that while it is healthy to envision the future in an uplifting way, one must remain flexible and not become too attached to it unfolding exactly as pictured. Reality has a way of surprising us, and rigid mental scripts can cause disappointment if life's events deviate from our predetermined images. Moreover, living within your imagination does not mean you dodge hard work. On the contrary, it can be the spark that ignites your discipline. Psychologists refer to this as mental contrasting, a method where you imagine a positive future outcome while also acknowledging the current obstacles. Balancing that positivity with a realistic awareness of present challenges can boost motivation. From a Stoic angle, you respect the constraints of reality, knowing some things are beyond your control, while still fueling yourself with the uplifting vision of success. The intersection of these ideas is powerful. You remain hopeful, yet grounded, confident, yet open to adaptation. Another key aspect of this lesson is that your imagination has a profound effect on your subconscious. If you repeatedly visualize scenarios of success, resilience, or emotional balance, you essentially train your mind to respond that way in real situations. High-performance athletes often utilize mental rehearsal to prepare for competitions. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius also wrote about the power of directing one's thoughts, intentionally emphasizing the mind's central role in shaping one's experience of reality. In everyday life, living within your imagination might translate to reframing negative self-talk or breaking out of limiting beliefs. If you perceive yourself as not smart enough or not lucky enough, that assumption can hinder your efforts. By consciously picturing yourself as capable and fortunate, you gradually dismantle self-imposed walls. Admittedly, the line between healthy imagination and escapism can be thin. That is where Stoic principles of discernment come in. If you find yourself fantasizing as a way to avoid necessary action, that becomes an unproductive retreat from reality. However, if imagination is used as a tool to set a guiding star in your mind's sky, you maintain a helpful sense of direction. The path forward then becomes clearer, and you feel more inclined to seize practical steps that lead you from where you are to where you want to be, a journey fueled and illuminated by the powerful light of constructive visualization. Lesson 6. Finding peace by letting go ties together many of the themes we have covered, but with a special focus on releasing negative blocks and the mental clutter that keeps us from experiencing tranquility. The modern world can be a relentless source of overstimulation, from the barrage of digital notifications to societal pressures urging us to do more, be more, and have more. Within Stoicism, peace is not an idle luxury. It is a signpost of inner mastery. To find peace means to skillfully manage our impressions, desires, and aversions so that our internal climate remains relatively stable even in stormy external conditions. A significant piece of this puzzle is the act of letting go of grudges, the need for perfection, the desire to control uncontrollable factors, and the clutter of self-defeating beliefs. From the vantage point of the law of attraction, these negative states can sabotage the flow of abundance, acting like energetic blockages. Imagine your mind as a stream that ideally should run clear and steady. Accumulated doubts, regrets, and anxieties block the current, creating stagnation. Letting go is akin to removing the debris, allowing life's water to run freely again. Stoicism's method for this includes identifying what is truly in your control: your choices, your interpretations, your virtues, and setting aside what is not. If your heart is set on a particular outcome and you find yourself racked with worry or bitterness, a Stoic approach would have you question the utility of those emotions. Do they help you perform better, or do they deplete your energy? More often than not, clinging to resentment or excessive worry simply drains you, leaving less capacity to respond intelligently to real-time challenges. Letting go, in this sense, is not an act of surrender or passivity. It is an act of strategic acceptance, enabling you to reallocate your energies where they can do the most good, namely, improving yourself and contributing constructively to the world around you. On a spiritual level, letting go also equates to trusting a higher order or divine flow. Whether you interpret that as the hand of God, cosmic intelligence, or simply the lawful unfolding of nature, the principle remains the same. Once you have done what you can do, you step back and trust that events will align for the best possible outcome. This trust is bolstered by the knowledge that even if the outcome seems unfavorable, there might be hidden lessons or future payoffs. Thus, releasing negative blocks is a two-part motion. You root out the harmful thoughts that serve no productive function, and you replace them with a confident acceptance that life may hold a better plan than what your limited perspective can currently see. An everyday illustration might be letting go of the need to prove yourself in every conversation or social setting. If you harbor a compulsion to always be right or always be liked, you drain your mental and emotional resources. By relinquishing that compulsion, you can engage more authentically, listen more empathically, and develop deeper, more satisfying relationships. This genuine approach, ironically, is more likely to draw respect, understanding, and goodwill, further exemplifying how letting go of something can actually bring it to you more readily. In short, peace arises from the recognition that much of life is beyond our grasp, but our response to life is always ours to command. Lastly, Lesson 7. Be happy. Your wish is on its way is perhaps the culminating sentiment that binds the entire perspective together. It underscores how happiness can function as both a means and an end. If we rely entirely on external achievements or possessions to make us happy, we set ourselves on a perpetual hamster wheel of chasing. Each new success can feel hollow when we quickly replace it with a bigger, shinier goal. By contrast, a Stoic approach fused with an understanding of attraction suggests that happiness is most stable when it arises from internal virtues, wisdom, patience, gratitude, courage, and so on. That foundational happiness is not contingent on external events lining up perfectly, so it remains more or less intact when life throws curveballs. Now, from a law of attraction standpoint, embodying happiness, even before your dreams have fully materialized, can expedite their manifestation. This does not mean ignoring real challenges. It means recognizing that your emotional and mental well-being does not have to be perpetually postponed until you cross some finish line. When you allow yourself to savor the small joys of life, like a warm conversation, a sunrise, the taste of good food, the satisfaction of learning a new skill, you raise your baseline state. Elevated emotions, such as love, gratitude, and contentment, are often described as higher frequency states, which purportedly align you with more life-affirming outcomes. Stoics like Seneca noted that happiness can be found in appreciating what you already have, including the breath in your lungs and the capacity of your mind. By stabilizing happiness in the here and now, you also diffuse the power of fear. If you're not terrified of losing things because your sense of contentment doesn't rest on them to begin with, then you are free to take bold but reasoned risks. This is the opposite of a fragile happiness that collapses the moment conditions shift. The paradox is that this steady, self-generated happiness often leads to more external success. Employers, clients, and friends gravitate to people who radiate genuine positivity. Opportunities seem to open up more readily, possibly because a calm, joyful mind is better at spotting and leveraging them. Moreover, adopting this stance means that even if certain wishes remain unfulfilled, your life is still infused with meaning and pleasure. You are not holding your happiness hostage to every outcome going your way. This fosters the resilience so often emphasized in Stoicism. Setbacks don't devastate you, they merely challenge you to adapt. The more you adapt, the stronger you become. And the stronger you become, the more likely you are to achieve your highest aspirations. The cyclical relationship between inner happiness and outer success becomes clear as each fuels the other in a virtuous spiral upward. Thus, be happy. Your wish is on its way might sound simplistic, but beneath the surface lie profound truths about self-regulation, acceptance, gratitude, and the synergy between our internal states and external realities. As we near the end of Part 2, it is worth reiterating that each lesson we have elaborated is interdependent. Detachment, trusting in the divine or natural order, harnessing imagination, clarifying desires, and practicing happiness in the present moment are like puzzle pieces that fit together. to form the portrait of a flourishing life. With these insights woven together, we are now prepared to venture into Part 3, where we will examine some final reflections and practical steps to integrate these lessons into daily living. In Part 3, we aim to consolidate everything we have covered, offering a cohesive roadmap for living a life that balances action with acceptance, discipline with faith, and effort with ease. Think of this as the culminating synthesis of Stoic wisdom and the so-called law of attraction. It all starts with the perspective that reality, whether you interpret it through the lens of a rational cosmos or quantum fields of possibility, responds to the internal state we cultivate. The goal is not to manipulate fate, but to cooperate harmoniously with it. To begin, let us emphasize the importance of self-awareness. Without an ongoing habit of introspection, it is far too easy to slip back into unconscious chasing patterns where we begin to link our worth to external markers of success and push ourselves to exhaustion. A robust self-awareness practice might include daily journaling, capturing your mood-notable events, any moments of reactivity or clarity. It could also include regular meditation or mindfulness exercises, where you watch your thoughts come and go without clinging to them. By building this muscle of observation, you stand a much better chance of catching yourself when you start to panic, rush, or force outcomes. Accompanying self-awareness is the crucial need for emotional regulation. While it is natural to feel disappointment when things do not go as planned, a Stoic-trained mind learns to see negative emotions as signals rather than absolute realities. Frustration might signal that your approach needs adjustment or that your internal attachments have grown too tight. Instead of letting frustration spiral into despair or anger, you pause, reflect, and course correct. This approach turns emotional turbulence into fuel for deeper understanding. Over time, you become less at the mercy of your environment and more empowered to set the tone for your day, your projects, and your relationships. Hand in hand with these internal disciplines is the practice of aligning your external life with your core principle. A person can say, "I trust in the universal flow," yet spend their days in chaotic tasks that fundamentally clash with their declared values. This dissonance can block the positive states that enable attraction. If your job requires you to engage in unethical practices, for instance, your moral conflict may eat away at your sense of peace and sabotage your ability to feel gratitude or joy. Sometimes it might be time to pivot toward a line of work that resonates more fully with your beliefs. Yes, transitions can be challenging, but a Stoic approach embraces them with courage and clarity. Rather than seeing a career change as a leap into the void, you view it as an opportunity to strengthen your alignment with virtue, which in turn fosters an unobstructed flow of good things into your life. Finally, recall that focusing too much on the end result can ironically obstruct the path to getting there. There is a reason so many wise individuals, from ancient sages to modern luminaries, advise letting go of fixations. Once you set your intention, remain vigilant in your day-to-day efforts, but surrender the obsessive need to control every variable. Accept that certain aspects lie outside your direct influence, and trust that life has a knack for delivering what is truly meant for you, sometimes in forms that exceed your imagination. Continuing, let us delve into the nuanced interplay of faith and reason. Stoicism, at its core, is a philosophy grounded in rational inquiry and self-mastery. Meanwhile, a significant portion of manifestation teachings lean into faith in the universe and God, or simply in the existence of intangible forces that respond to our mental and emotional states. These two viewpoints need not be mutually exclusive. A Stoic can practice rational analysis of situations, examining probabilities, strategizing effectively, and seeking knowledge while still leaving room for the mysterious aspects of existence. Indeed, Marcus Aurelius spoke often of nature's intelligence, implying that while certain things may exceed our immediate understanding, they operate according to an underlying order. A helpful way to integrate faith with reason is to view your own efforts as seeds. You sow them with diligence, water them with consistent virtuous actions, and nurture them with a positive, grateful mindset. Yet whether these seeds sprout to the fullest depends on conditions you may not fully control. Weather patterns, soil quality, or the deeper cosmic rhythms, if you will. For a Stoic-minded individual, this is not cause for despair, but an invitation to humility. You do your best and remain open to outcomes that might differ from your original plan. This form of faith is not blind or dogmatic. It is an acceptance that life's tapestry is woven from threads beyond one's direct command, and that it can still yield beneficial patterns even if you can't see them immediately. This acceptance can be vital in preventing the bitterness that sometimes arises when goals aren't met on our preferred timetable. If someone invests years in building a business that fails, the Stoic approach, combined with faith, might say, "The knowledge and resilience I gained are seeds for my next endeavor. The network I built and the lessons I learned may yet serve me in ways I haven't imagined." On the surface, the failure was painful. But from a vantage point of patient faith, it becomes a stepping stone that might lead to an even more meaningful success. This perspective also eases the pressure we often place on ourselves, breathing room into the entire process of personal and professional growth. One might argue that pure Stoicism does not explicitly mention manifesting external realities through thought. Indeed, the ancient sources focus more on virtue and inner states. However, it doesn't take a big leap to see that a disciplined mind and regulated emotions facilitate better judgments, open you to new opportunities, and make you more pleasant to collaborate with. Factor in the power of an organized, positive mindset to detect subtle chances and alliances, and it's easy to see how the Stoic approach can support what modern thinkers would call manifestation. The synergy is their rational reflection plus well-placed faith can yield extraordinary results, especially when we remain committed to living ethically. Thus, to wholeheartedly accept what belongs to you will simply find you is not to promote inaction, but to shift how we see our role in the cosmic dance. The steps we take are purposeful, yet we allow the music to carry us in directions we might not have anticipated. We keep our reason engaged, acting wisely, and our faith alive, knowing that what is truly ours cannot bypass us forever. Such an integrated standpoint fosters calm resilience and often leads to a sense of meaningful synchronicity in day-to-day life. At this stage, it may be beneficial to consider practical tips and routines to internalize these lessons. While the original script laid out key Stoic principles and references to manifestation, it helps to have a daily or weekly checklist, morning mindset check. Each morning, before diving into your tasks, take a minute to breathe deeply and check in with your state of mind. Are you anxious about the day ahead? Are you excited and grateful? By naming and acknowledging these feelings, you can more consciously choose how to proceed. A short affirmation or Stoic maxim might help center you. I focus on what I can control and accept what I cannot. Visualization practice. If you have a particular goal, say writing a book, landing a business contract, or nurturing a close relationship, spend a few moments visualizing that goal as already accomplished. Sense the emotions tied to that success. This sets a positive tone and helps guide your decision-making throughout the day. Remember to remain flexible, knowing life might bring you an even better outcome. Gratitude and journaling. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful shifts you can adopt. A daily gratitude practice, listing out a few things you appreciate, can drastically alter your baseline mood. Complement this with a Stoic-style journal entry about what went well, what you learned, and how you handled any adversity. Over time, this practice promotes self-awareness and fosters resilience. Mindful action. Throughout your workday, strive to bring mindfulness to your tasks. Focus on the process, not just the end result. Stoic discipline involves wholehearted engagement in the present moment. Whether you're sending emails, brainstorming ideas, or leading a meeting, commit fully, then let go of the obsession with outcomes. This posture opens doors to creative solutions and serendipitous breakthroughs. Evening. Reflection. End your day by reviewing what transpired. Did you remain aligned with your values? Were there moments of clinging to control or chasing outcomes frantically? Did you respond gracefully to setbacks? Reflection, free from harsh self-judgment, trains you to do better the following day. This is also a good time to reaffirm your trust that what is meant for you will find you so long as you keep your actions and mindset aligned with integrity. Implementing these kinds of routines can turn abstract lessons into lived experience. Over weeks and months, you might find that certain projects flow more easily, conflicts resolve quicker, and you handle unexpected twists with more grace. The synergy of self-awareness, practical action, and a trusting mindset can transform daily drudgery into an ongoing journey of personal evolution. In essence, you become both the sculptor and the clay shaping yourself as you learn to shape your reality. Another valuable aspect to consider is the role of relationships and community on this path. Stoics often emphasize self-reliance, but they also acknowledge our interconnectedness as social beings. Marcus Aurelius wrote that humans are meant to help one another just as the limbs of a body work together. If you're trying to attract new opportunities or cultivate personal development, it's worth noting how your social circle and environment shape your perceptions and energy. Surrounding yourself with supportive people who share or respect your values can amplify your efforts toward a Stoic manifestation lifestyle. If you're working on staying detached from outcomes, it helps to have friends who don't feed into drama. If you're building a positive mental outlook, it's beneficial to spend time around those who encourage optimism rather than cynicism. Conversely, if you find that certain relationships are consistently draining or toxic, part of your journey may involve setting boundaries or distancing yourself to protect your mental and emotional equilibrium. This does not mean you must cut ties harshly with every challenging person. Stoicism teaches compassion, but it does require you to recognize when a situation is detrimental and to act accordingly. Community also provides fertile ground for practicing attract, don't chase. In professional or creative networks, an authentic, grounded demeanor tends to draw high-quality collaborators, clients, or mentors. If you exude desperation, it often sends signals of insecurity, which can make people wary of engaging. On the flip side, when you hold a calm self-assurance rooted in the knowledge that your well-being is not solely dependent on their approval or patronage, you appear more trustworthy and genuine. This approach, which is consistent with Stoic detachment, ironically can lead to more robust professional connections. The same logic applies to romantic or platonic relationships. If you approach dating from a place of fear, I must find someone immediately, you may settle for incompatible matches. If, however, you trust in your own wholeness and remain open to meeting the right person, you're more apt to recognize them when they appear. Furthermore, a community can help keep you accountable. If you have fellow travelers on a Stoic or manifestation path, you can share experiences, compare notes, and encourage each other when old fearful habits resurface. You might exchange recommended reading materials from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations to more contemporary works exploring the science of consciousness. This mutual learning experience often sparks deeper insights. Shared joys and shared struggles both become opportunities for growth. In short, you don't have to walk this road alone. Whether it's an online forum, a local discussion group, or a circle of empathetic friends connecting with others who respect, if not fully embrace, your Stoic manifestation philosophy, can enhance your practice. The synergy of collective reflection, support, and wisdom amplifies the effectiveness of every principle we've discussed. If the central premise of Stoic manifestation is trusting the natural flow of life while doing our best, then engaging with a network of like-minded individuals can serve as a vital tributary feeding that flow. As we near the concluding paragraphs of this expansive rewrite, it is worth restating the central paradox. By letting go, we gain more. This is not just an airy spiritual notion, but a psychologically validated truth. Consider how often stress, panic, or micromanagement have led to mistakes or alienated opportunities. When we cling to a particular outcome or timeline, we inadvertently apply too much tension, causing either ourselves or others around us to recoil. In relationships, excessive jealousy or control typically drives a partner away. In professional settings, a manager who refuses to trust their team and insists on dictating every move can hamper creativity, leading to mediocre results. Stoicism's gentle counsel to release parallels the law of attraction's advice to trust in the flow. We see this in practical, everyday scenarios. For instance, if you are set on convincing a colleague or friend to view a situation your way, pushing too hard can provoke defensiveness. But if you present your viewpoint calmly, then give them space to process it, they might come around on their own accord. The same principle appears at scale in negotiations, deals, and even job applications. An overly desperate approach can raise red flags. Detachment carried with genuine confidence can be disarming in a positive sense, making others more likely to meet you halfway. Over time, practicing this release fosters a sense of profound freedom. You realize you do not have to hustle for every crumb of approval or success. You simply need to show up authentically, do your part well, and let the rest align with cosmic or natural order. However, letting go is not a singular event. It's more like a daily or moment-to-moment practice. Life is unpredictable. New desires emerge. New uncertainties arise, and the old urge to chase can resurface. Stoic journaling or mindful reflection can help you detect these patterns early. If you sense yourself getting caught up in a new wave of anxious pursuit, step back, breathe, and recall the principles we have outlined. Focus on what you can control: your preparedness, your effort, your character, and release attachment to external validation. Embrace a growth mindset. Every experience is a teacher, whether it goes according to plan or not. This approach not only reduces stress, but can yield surprising benefits for creativity. Many artists, entrepreneurs, and innovators report that their greatest breakthroughs occurred when they ceased frantic overthinking and allowed ideas to flow spontaneously. The mind, less cluttered by desperation, becomes an open channel for insight. In personal relationships, letting go of petty grievances can free up emotional energy for deeper, more meaningful connections. In the grand scheme of life, practicing detachment can help you remain anchored in your purpose, even as the tides of fortune ebb and flow. This is a hallmark of both Stoic resilience and the manifestation principle of alignment. You hold space for your desire, but you do not cling so tightly that you choke out the very life you wish to cultivate. We arrive now at the final paragraph of this comprehensive 10,000-word journey. It is fitting to close with a reaffirmation of the synergy between Stoicism and the idea that what belongs to you will simply find you. When you nurture the virtues of self-control, courage, wisdom, and justice, you place yourself in the best possible position to receive the good that life has in store. By directing your mind toward positive images of success, abundance, and constructive relationships, you set the tone for how you perceive and respond to opportunities. Most crucially, by detaching from rigid expectations and fears, you create the mental spaciousness that allows all these good things to flow more effortlessly into your orbit. The final emphasis must be on trust in yourself, and trust in the broader order of existence. This trust does not negate thoughtful planning or rational engagement with reality. Instead, it acts as the balancing force that prevents analysis from sliding into paralysis or ambition from morphing into anxiety. When you balance reason, the Stoic lens with faith, the manifestation perspective, you stand grounded in the knowledge that your role is to present your highest self to the world. Consistent, diligent, and open-hearted, while acknowledging that destiny or divine intelligence weaves the larger tapestry. Keep in mind that none of this calls for perfection. You may stumble, fall into old chasing habits, or get bogged down by negativity at times. The Stoic approach does not demand superhuman serenity, nor does it penalize you for emotional lapses. Rather, it invites you to consistently return to center, realign, and remember that each day offers a fresh opportunity to practice these principles. Over the course of weeks, months, and years, small incremental improvements accumulate, shaping a life that is calmer, more purposeful, and indeed more abundant. May you carry these lessons forward not as doctrines to be memorized, but as living wisdom to be tested in the laboratory of your own experiences. Reflect on how your life transforms when you focus on what lies within your control, trust in the unfolding of events, and allow your deeper aspirations to take root in the fertile ground of a well-cultivated mind. The metamorphosis might be subtle at first, but persist, and you will likely see undeniable shifts, a greater sense of peace, an easier pathway toward your goals, and a resonant alignment between who you are inside and what you attract from the outside. Thus ends this expanded and restructured script, interweaving Stoic philosophy, law of attraction themes, and practical examples. Let it stand as a comprehensive guide to embracing a paradox that has enriched countless lives. Stop chasing outcomes to the point of exhaustion, and instead nurture the inner qualities that naturally draw to you the very things you seek. In so doing, you become both the sculptor and the masterpiece, carving out a life that reflects the powerful grace of letting go. As you step forth from these pages, remember what belongs to you in all its myriad forms. Love opportunities, growth will find its way to you when you are ready to receive it. Keep learning, keep trusting, and most importantly, keep living with an open heart. After exploring these transformative insights, one powerful truth stands out clearly. Sometimes the secret to achieving everything you desire is hidden in plain sight. Embracing Stoicism and the law of attraction isn't about giving up. It's about confidently letting go and trusting the process. This shift can revolutionize your happiness, relationships, career, and personal fulfillment, making each moment feel purposeful and deeply rewarding. But what about you? Have you experienced moments where releasing control brought unexpected success? Or maybe you're still skeptical and have questions either way. We'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, challenges, or breakthroughs in the comments below. Let's open a genuine conversation and grow together. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more inspirational content, and click that notification bell so you'll always stay connected to powerful, life-enhancing insights. Your next big breakthrough may be just one conversation away.